Recording started.
Recorded live.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you're listening to the VMware Community's Roundtable Podcast. This is podcast number 455. My name is Eric Nelson, and with me, my co-host, John White. John, how's it going?
Going really well, Eric. Was running a slight fever on Monday afternoon, but finally over it. Color of the Bay report today. 3 shades of blue, not unlike what I'm wearing today. 3 different shades of blue. I saw some sea foam, but I also saw some like dark indigo.
It is kind of partly cloudy today, but sunny and nice, but I could see where you'd have some different shades. So, yeah, partly feverish. Nice to know. There has been the October season of flu. I think Kripa had flu, Tej had flu. Even Julia, our film, is kind of in the mode of scratchy throat land. So,
no.
You know why this is? It's because we're getting ready for VMworld Europe, and whenever you have to fly to Europe, there's just cold everywhere, and I'm going to get it, and I'm going to be on Sudafed and popping my eardrums landing in Barcelona this year.
That's miserable to do it right before you fly, but it is, odd in the Bay because we'll get 75-degree afternoon weather, but 48-degree morning weather, and so it's that temperature swing.
Yeah. Anyway, on the show today, we're going to talk about VMworld Europe. Speaking of VMworld Europe, we've got a lot of stuff going on. So we've got the whole community team here gathered, plus maybe we'll get Mike Hume from Cloud City to come in. So we're going to talk about Hackathon, the vExpert party, and vExpert stuff with Corey, Brownbag with Jenny, Code. We got Kripa and the Hackathon plus the Code booth and power sessions, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And if Mike Hume joins, we'll do a kind of a virtual tour of Cloud City and get everybody aware of what that is and why you might want to go visit that if you're going to be in Europe. So that's on the show today. Plus, we got some cool news events, so we'll talk a little bit about the news and go from there. So jump right into the news. The funnest news that I've heard today is when we talk about the vSphere 6.7 update now available, which you mentioned on last week's podcast. There is a little bit of history there, and I got to say, hooray! We're announcing that 6.7 update 1, the vCenter web client is now fully functional, right? So they've ported all the remaining features back into it, including auto deploy, host profiles, vSphere update manager, vCenter high availability, network topology diagrams, overview performance charts. Everything is supposed to be in there now, right? And,
yeah. There's really no reason to use the C# client. Obviously, that was deprecated a while back, but you don't need to pop back and forth between the HTML5 client and the old Flex client. So, yeah, awesome. Yeah. Awesome news.
No more C# client, no more Flex client, and now we're finally on HTML5 and moving forward with feature compatibility. And most of the reports back from the community I've heard has been that the HTML5 client is pretty good. Right?
Yeah.
Yep. So we can put that one to rest. And we did have a trivia question, which Graham on the chat answered for us, which was, what year did we introduce the HTML client to begin with, which was based on Adobe Flex and so forth.
Yeah.
And congrats to Graham, who I think was just better at Googling than the rest of us. He came back with 2011, maybe in vSphere 5.0 was when the first one came out, although...
First mention in the documentation that I found was 5.0, yeah.
Yep, so 5.0, and that was 2011. It's 2018 now, almost 2019. So 8 years, give or take,
Yeah.
It took us to get that.
Fortunately, this is the last time we ever have to mention a web client ever again. And that's the last time they ever talked about a web client.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That
is the number one thread, by the way, on VMTN Communities in forums, is that one. I think has like 23,000 posts or some huge number, right? Mm-hmm. Which we've just let run, right? It's there. People still jump in, have conversations almost daily on that thread, right? So hopefully
I think it's
now
important, to see what issues people actually have with it. And
right.
I'm glad to work for a company that doesn't censor that kind of discussion. That's
Yep.
That's nice.
Yeah. So, there you go. We just kept at it. Now, it has been complex because we have so many different product suites now, 12 different product suites, give or take, and all of those need to be in the client. So we've had different priorities on different features and different things to bring it up, and it's a kind of a huge moving company now with a multi-complex environment where we're trying to make things work for different customers. So I get why it takes a little bit longer. I remember at the time being in these meetings, looking, going, this is going to take us like 5 years, right? To bring everything together under one pane of glass, where there were not only feature comparisons, but there was also just, we would acquire companies and then have nothing to plug their clients into, and so we were just left. And there was all the C# plugin capability that needed to make it over.
Yep.
We had partners that were building plugins. If you remember the days. So I want to say hooray and pop champagne bottles and hey, maybe we'll put that number one thread on VMTN to bed.
That thread is now archived. Not really.
Not really. But what's going to happen is they're going to ask us, how are our numbers doing? How are our forum posts doing? How's the community doing? And we're going to see a drop in our numbers, and somebody's going to yell at us going, hey, how come you're seeing less activity in forums?
Drop in complaints.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. That's our goal, is to take community down to zero, which means it basically works and nobody has to talk about anything. So there you go. So that's one news item. I have a couple other smaller news items. Women Who Code in India. We're making an investment in that organization to bring 15,000 women back from motherhood back into the coding environment. So let's say you went to university, you got technical, then you started to raise a family. Your kids grow up. What do? Right? You need to be retrained back into current tech.
Sure.
So we're investing with Women in Code to build programs that enable women who might have dropped out of the workforce, who want to come back in and do some exciting stuff, to be able to take some training and update their software engineering skills to be able to come back into that. Plus, we're doing I think a $2 billion investment over 2 years, so $1 billion a year in infrastructure and in India for development org and sales offices and all that. So we did not only investment in women, but also investment in our company infrastructure inside of VM.
It was really exciting to see. I don't know if people watch the news or not, but Pat Gelsinger actually met with, I want to say, the Prime Minister of India.
Yeah.
And talked about that $2 billion investment. It's pretty intense, and we have a huge footprint there, but obviously that's going to grow.
Yeah, it is. And globally, I look at followers and people I'm chatting with online, and there's a lot of India now that's coming online that like to meet everybody and engage with them. So it's kind of fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, that's the two big, the vSphere 7.1 Update 1 parity, and then obviously our investment over there. If you're listening to this and you're a vExpert, or you want to be a vExpert, nominations are going to open up again in November this year. And we also have a platform called advocacy.vmware.com. If you're listening to this and you want to join the advocacy.vmware.com platform to get threads, just come send us mail, enielsen@vmware.com, or Eric and I Pro on Twitter, and we will get you in, and you'll get streams of great content that you can one button publish out into the ecosystem, and all these news events that we go through are available. So feel free to send us mail and get on that platform if you're not already on it. We invited all of the experts a couple of years ago, so a lot of the experts have had invitations, and you can do that if you want to. All right, so with that, we'll end the news segment, and we'll start talking about what's happening at VMworld Europe. So we got a lot of stuff going on. Just to highlight again, we're going to go through today all the Europe activities that we have on. Hackathon, we'll talk to Kripa. vExpert Party, we'll talk to Corey. Brownbag, we'll talk to Jenny. And then Cloud City, we're going to talk to Mike Hume. And Mike Hume, very busy man as he is in the show podcast room with us right now. And I'm kind of happy about that. So we'll talk to Mike first about Cloud City, and just to give some backdrop as we get started here, Cloud City is a kind of a big community area that we have at VMworld, much the same as we have the code area as well as the vBrownBag and VMTN area. We have Cloud City area, and one of our goals for Europe is to get people to come by and check out the Cloud City area. And so I thought we would just we've had Mike on and talk about AWS stuff in the past. So Mike, welcome to the show. Give us the 1 minute elevator pitch. What do you do at VMware, and then we'll talk about Cloud City.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So I've been a part of VMware for almost 9.5 years now. So been here really throughout a lot of the generations of this company, and been focused on the last year and a half on our overall cloud strategy and our entire portfolio, everything from what we're doing in the data center to VMware Cloud on AWS with our 3,000 VMware Cloud provider partners around the globe, and all the things we're doing around cloud native apps and cloud services.
Right, so quite a bit. I mean, I definitely see us turning into a cloud company with all the products, especially now that I'm going to AWS reInvent and running a booth there. You get into all the stuff we have in cloud, and it's actually pretty impressive, right? I don't think most of the ecosystem knows all the components that we actually have, and that we have some things that are just completely nothing to do with vSphere versus things that obviously we have VMC and AWS, which everybody knows about, right, give or take. And then there's these other things, these acquisitions we're doing on a regular basis. And so,
the last 18 months have been really tremendous. Really, when you think about where we were at that point to where we are now around cloud, really rich portfolio, everything for hybrid cloud, everything for multi-cloud and cloud in native public cloud environments, and a ton of things happening around Kubernetes. This is not something that's new for us, but it's certainly expanded significantly just in the last 6 months, and I'm really excited to share all of that.
Right, and as we all transition into cloud-aware administrators and IT practitioners and consultants and architects, this is just kind of an expansion of our role, right? And it's kind of cool because we get to go along with the cloud party, right? Like there's been some of us that have been like, we're stuck in virtual land, and this is our bread and butter. This is how we make as much as we do. And every move I make, I'm going to make less, right? So I'm scared to make a move, learn new things because I'm going to make less every move. I remember Sun Microsystems was in that. So whatever move you made, you were worried you were just going to not sell Spark anymore and make less. But in this case, VMware's making investments in just cloud everywhere, and they got really good products and really good services. So now we come back to Cloud City. Cloud City is an ecosystem. It's a cool white booth, but why does a practitioner want to make sure they spend an hour of their life going through Cloud City? What do you got there?
Yeah, well, we really wanted to do something different with Cloud City, and so it's something that we piloted in Las Vegas. It's a brand new concept for the way that we approach attendees at any of our VMworld events, because it's really oriented around the way that they're using the technology. We're not trying to just show you, hey, here's a cool capability or here's a cool new innovation, although you do get exposed to that. It's all really built around the way that our customers are using these technologies.
Neat.
So when you think about most of our customers, what they want to do is they want to migrate to the cloud. So there's great ways that you can interact with really the full portfolio of products, not just a single product, but multiple products that really make up that ability to migrate to the cloud really quickly and easily, whether it's to AWS or one of our cloud provider partners. Maybe you want to scale on demand for things like disaster recovery, and you want to see what it would be like to really interact with all of these capabilities and products as you were scaling on demand. You can do that too. In a self-service environment, you can talk to our experts, you can talk to other customers or partners. You can look at how it would feel to really integrate cloud operations using a cloud health portfolio. Or you can really play with this technology in a way that's set up around building or modernizing applications for cloud native application environments. So it's built around how people use that technology. Again, very self-service, very interactive, and then there's people there that can help walk you through things and really talk to you about what you're trying to accomplish. So one of the things that worked really well in Las Vegas, this is what we loved, was that people were coming in, and we know there's tons of demands on everyone's time, and people are getting pulled to education sessions and keynotes and other things that they want to do across VMworld. But people were spending upwards of 20 and 25 minutes just in Cloud City because they wanted to get in deep with the technology. That's kind of unheard of in a booth where you're just sort of coming in and coming out, getting a lightweight exposure. So we really feel like people were getting a ton of value out of their time there.
Right, and actually I had a really good conversation with Linda Britt around the experience, kind of like what we did with Code and what you're doing with Power City, which is you want the technologies are complex enough now that you actually want to spend time with not only content but with people and descriptions of what's happening. And you actually want to go someplace where you can stand talk, and engage, as opposed to what we've done at VMware traditionally is you go to a session, right? There's 100 people in the session. They have good conversation. They explain it, but then everybody files out and you're kind of disconnected again.
That's right.
Right? Then you go take a hands-on lab over at a different place, and then you file out, right? And so you don't actually have. So what we did with the code booth and what I'm seeing happening with Cloud City and what I'm talking about Linda Britt in for future events is this notion that I go someplace where you get immersed in the problem statement, right? Or the value proposition of what I'm trying to learn. Either I'm trying to learn DevOps and code, so I go there, there's sessions, there's labs, there's people, you have conversations, you get and you can relax and engage with people around that subject, right? And I see Cloud City being that exact thing. If I wanted to spend time learning about cloud in a place where there's people, technology, and things to learn, that's why I go there, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And even the people that we've asked from the VMware side to come in and be experts are the ones that you typically find as part of a consultation. They might be from our professional services team or our CTO team. And those are the guys that are going to spend that time really engaging with all the attendees. If you find something interesting, you want to talk about your problem, there's a little collaboration space. You can go off to the side and whiteboard some things. So what we want it to be is where customers are really coming to us with their opportunities or their challenges. Some of the people that were there were saying, gosh, I didn't really think cloud was for me. I thought it was either I'm going to stick with VMware or I'm going to be eaten up by the cloud. And they left going, oh, wow, look, I can actually do both of these things. I can stay in VMware and leverage all of that knowledge and the things that I know and the tools that I have, and I can be extremely cloud successful in the cloud. Yeah,
and I'm not saying this just because I'm a marketing guy or I want to market. I'm actually just legitimately, I walk away going like, once I've learned this and spent time here, I'm like, wow, we really got, and even the cloud vendors like Amazon, IBM, and others are kind of coming to us going like, this makes sense. VMware can provide all this added value in our cloud environments, and we need a software vendor like this to provide the infrastructure across the clouds and on our cloud specifically, right? So it makes sense.
To that point, IBM Cloud and AWS will actually be a part of Cloud City. So there'll be very specific time frames where you could come in and actually speak directly to them about, how does VMware and AWS work together? How does VMware support the IBM Cloud environment? What are the cool things that we're doing together that make this a really unique opportunity, around these ways of utilizing the VMware Cloud portfolio?
Right. Which I got to give VMware a lot of credit in, marching us forward in the places we need to be, right? Which I have this investment. I make a lot of money because I've invested 10 years of my life in the VMware portfolio, right? And taking that portfolio along with us as individuals on this journey to where customers are going has been, I see VMware just doing it again, which is like...
Well, I think it's really opening up some new opportunities for our customers too. So if you just look at something like, cloud migration, pretty much every one of our customers, they have some goal around cloud migration, whether it's a certain number of apps or a certain, number of VMs, whatever the kind of set of targets they have. But they found a ton of challenges around just the complexity, the incompatibility, either too much money or too much effort to refactor an application for the cloud. And so we're really taking away a lot of that with the way that we're approaching cloud. Consistent infrastructure from the data center to the cloud and now to the edge, allowing people to run apps where they need to with as little effort and cost as you can find out in the market. So those are the kind of things we can share.
And then the last thing I'll just say, and then we'll let you get on with your day because we've got other things to hit on here today, is that the cloud model from an engineering perspective is really interesting because you guys are spinning releases, right? The release train is a pretty quick, 3-4 month release train, agile development. You've got releases coming out. You've got data centers with these releases coming out across the globe. And one thing I would say is that you guys are listening to feature requests. So if you go to Cloud City, you can not only have dialogue about what features are there, but if you want to talk to Mike or others, be in that community collaboration environment, you could actually affect what a feature is, within the next 6 months, right? And that's also fascinating, the community engagement that can happen in this kind of world.
I've been here long enough that I remember the days where we used to, be code complete on vSphere and then release it 12 months later. And the fact that we're doing these releases, every couple of months, revving new data centers, bringing out new features. I love the fact that we're collaborative with our customers on this, and even more, because of our integration into all these other cloud providers, the input that you can give is, hey, it would be cool if you and Amazon could do this together. It'd be cool if you and IBM could do this together.
Right.
So really finding that the enterprise feedback, customer feedback from VMware customers is being built right directly into the next rev of these solutions. So keep it coming.
Right. So, and that's what's cool about Cloud City is you can get plugged into this ecosystem.
Right.
You can learn, and then you can also, if you're farther enough along in your journey, you can actually give feedback and talk about new features and things that might make sense. And everybody's there collaborating, and that's what's cool about these kind of experiences that we have VMworld now. You can go to the VMware code booth and engage, and there are people that are listening. They're actually solving the problems. You can come to Cloud City, engage, learn, and provide a two-way dialogue with what you're doing in your business.
I would say that I spent about. Actually, Mike, it's a really good stat. I spent probably about 35 minutes in Cloud City in Vegas with a friend of the show, Sheng Xin. And he kind of acted as my tour guide, for this really experiential, immersive process, which was, me asking questions, him, kind of guiding me through the process. I would say it's really worth doing and spending some time and attention on it. Maybe my one question would be, what are the spectrum of targeted people, attendees at VMworld Europe, who you think would benefit from going through that?
Yeah, so if you're just an administrator, you've been working in the VMware environment for 5 years, 10 years, it's kind of your bread and butter, and you're wondering how's cloud relevant for you? This is a great space for you. You can come in, you can see how we're extending that compute, storage, and networking types solutions that you might be used to out to the cloud. Great opportunity for you. If you're sort of in a cloud ops type role where maybe you're working directly with Amazon or you're working directly with Azure or Google, but you want to know how to operate across those environments, also a great opportunity. We can certainly, we have a ton of great environments for unifying cloud operations there. If you're in a DevOps role, there's great things to see how you can work within Kubernetes, but really support those apps in an operational role that's supportive of the kind of things that you need to have containers and apps, and especially mission-critical apps, running in the enterprise. So pretty broad spectrum, and we give you a range of ways to really start to interact with the solutions around things like next-gen apps or migration or disaster recovery. So you can go right into what's relevant for you. You don't have to sit through a long marketing pitch that's not relevant for you, or a demo that maybe doesn't quite click for you. You get to choose really where you go. And these experts, they know how to really outline things for you no matter who you are.
What about the director level or executive level, looking for some guidance on strategy moving towards the cloud?
Yeah, I think that would be great too. In particular, the expert interaction. A lot of these guys who are, very senior from our CTO office, or, senior individuals from the PSO, you may not get interaction with them. You might get the deep technical discussion during a tech session, or you go to a hands-on lab and you get really ingrained in the technology. But you can talk strategy, roadmap, outline what your goals are, things that have been giving you a challenge. It might be something around cost or budget. It might be something around licensing. These are great discussions to have there. So we'd love to have those individuals come in and really talk strategically about where you're trying to go with cloud and how VMware can help you get there.
All right.
Exciting.
So we have you on because our whole goal is to make people aware.
That's right.
We're going to have Tommy Berry doing it on social the next 2 weeks, right? Talking about Cloud City. We're working with you guys on that. And our whole goal is just to, get everybody in the ecosystem. We know we have an 8,000 or 9,000, IT guys and people, the women, men, girls, guys, whatever you want to call them, at the show. We want to get them, to stop by and engage. It is a community. It's a community ecosystem. As part of the community, come by, learn, and engage. I think it'll change your perspective to some degree, and it's absolutely worth the hour to go by. And we just want to make a presence there. We want that place to be busy. We want to show everybody in the cloud world that we get it, and we're here to stay as well.
That's awesome. Yeah, we had a tremendous response in Las Vegas, so that's why we're doing it again. the more that we get people running through here, the more that we can continue to invest in these things.
Yeah, and I think it's a way to reinvent the conference experience, to have these kind of micro islands which you can come in and not only just sit, but engage with people, learn the content, do some labs, talking to them about having that, be the way that you do conferences in the future, because it kind of, when you go to 10 or 15 or 20,000 people, how do you create experiences where you can actually engage with people and learn at the same time?
So we'll be, you can find us in VM Village.
Yeah.
And as you come in to VMworld, we'll actually be right behind the giant VMworld sign. So really easy to find. Make sure you stop in. We'll actually be open all week. And looking forward to having a great showing from all of our Barcelona attendees. Yeah,
I hear that we're above attendance record, so that's also good. So VMworld in Europe is getting bigger, and it's becoming just a true sibling, not a smaller sibling. But it's the numbers are getting impressive, and so it should be cool.
Absolutely. Great.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, Mike. Right. And we'll move on now. Kripa, I know you're on the call, so we want to talk about the Hackathon and VMware Code. So we'll do VMware Code and Hackathon next. So Kripa, welcome to the show. Can you do the 1 minute, who are you and how long have you been at VMware and what do you do?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Kripa. I manage the VMware Code program, and I started in late June, so it's been about 5 months now. And I'm very, very excited for VMworld Europe. We're doing a lot, just like we did in the U.S. We have power sessions again. We have about 35 power sessions, and right now our registration for those, everything minus 5 sessions, is completely full. So that's looking really good. And we're doing the Makerspace again. Those went over really well in Vegas. And we're also bringing back the VMware Code Coin for Europe as well.
All right.
And, of course, the hackathon.
Yeah, so
a lot of activities.
I'll jump in there and go like, yep, the sessions are full. Standing room, we get standing room, so you can come by. We're not scanning people, so even though you've registered for the session, you got to get there and hunt for a seat, because if somebody from the last session doesn't move on. But in the U.S., we had seats. There were seats still available, and then we had maybe 20 people standing around watching at the same time, right? So if you didn't register, you still can come by and check it out, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
And I think our booth is a little bigger than in Vegas, too, so we probably have a little bit more standing room.
Yeah, I think we did.
Yeah, so Kripa, this is John. I definitely watched 3 sessions from outside the actual official seating area. So I would encourage people to, even if the session is full, if it's interesting, just come on by. Put it in your unofficial calendar as opposed to your official conference calendar.
Yep. All right, with that, the Makerspace Labs, we are going to have Raspberry Pis. We are going to have this the sensors there. I know that they're booked, and those ones tend to book, and then people show up. Usually there's a drop-in line, so usually there's a couple people that don't show up. I think there is 5 per table, 3 tables, maybe 15, 16, or 18 seats. But usually there's a couple extra. So if you want to learn how to program Leota, which is our IoT stuff. Yep.
Ray Leota's going to be there.
Yeah, not Ray Leota, just Leota, the open source
Internet
project.
Things appliance.
Yes, exactly.
Do I have to make the same joke every
We'll have
time?
engineers. Yep. Deja Vu, 22nd at VMworld this year. It's all great. I love every one of them. So you keep telling those jokes. It's perfect. We got the labs there, the Raspberry Pis. We're going to give some of those away. So talk us through the hackathon. Where are we at the hackathon? Do we have people going? How's that going to play out? Where's it going to be at?
Yeah, totally. So hackathon registration is almost completely full as of yesterday. We only had 4 more spots, so if you're thinking about going, register on Schedule Builder. If you're registered on Schedule Builder and you're not going, take your stuff off so that people who want to go can go. And there's 2 steps to the registration process. Not only do you have to register on Schedule Builder, but you have to join our Hacker Earth so you can see the different teams and projects that are going on. There's a lot of really cool projects that are on Hacker Earth right now, and the teams aren't full. So there's definitely some room there to find a project that fits for you and what you want to try to learn when you're at the hackathon. Our location's different this year. We're not going to be in South Korea like last year, but I'm really excited about this location. We're at the Spheric, which used to be the Science Pavilion at the World Exhibition back in 1927, and they've remodeled it and put in all a lot of new technology. So, and it's kind of secluded. It's in the middle of nature, but no worries. We have shuttle buses going to and from like we did last year, but it should be a really cool venue.
All right, cool. Just looking at chat, yeah, we will be scanning at the entrance to the social space. And so Hackathon buses, I saw somewhere on the blog, I should throw out the URL to the blog. You have a great blog. I put it in the chat way back when. If you go to blogs.vmware.com / I think it's code. There's a code blog that talks about the hackathon, and you can just search for 2018-10-23 VMworld Europe Hackathon. Know before you go. That's right there. Blog article talks about all the things you want to know. A couple things we're doing for the hackathon that we got feedback from the U.S., which is 2 categories. You want to talk about the 2 categories and prizes for the 2 different categories? Because why don't you talk about the feedback we got and what we're doing to change that?
Yeah, sure. So at Vegas, we opened up the hackathon on Hacker Earth online to allow people to find their teams ahead of time, but also to start working on their projects so that when they came into the actual hackathon, they would have a little bit more direction when they just started working versus trying to spend an hour or 3 hours brainstorming. But it turned out that some people didn't know that was happening, and they were a little upset with how judging went. So for Europe, we've decided to actually split it up. So we still are allowing everyone who wants to work on their project early to work on it, but we're going to have a separate judging section just for the work that's done the day of the hackathon. And the prizes, we're giving away some Raspberry Pis, some code jackets. So there'll be some good prizes there. I don't want to give away everything.
Yep. So we got the feedback. We'll have 2 categories. One for just people that are doing the project when they showed up at the hackathon. So you get 3 hours to build something and do something. We'll have that category, and then we'll have the category that's everybody that for the month-long teams that formed writing different projects. I think that's good because in previous years we've seen people do that anyway. We have some teams that have been working on the stuff for the last 6 months, it seems, and then other people just show up and do something at the event. So I like this idea of 2 categories.
That should be a good event.
Yep, good event. Almost full, some room, and if you want to show up, bring yourself something to sit on, because once we get full, I don't think the fire marshal is going to keep us out of the building, but we only have X number of chairs. So then, if you sit on a team and we only have X number of chairs per table, it's going to hard to scrunch in. You're going to have to stand there. So yeah, that's the deal. I don't think we're going to keep anybody out of the room or out of the place, and if you show up, we'll have food and drink, but seating could be tricky. And bring your badge. And I hear we're going to be giving out code shirts to anybody that shows up. Right? Is that right?
Yep. Everyone who comes to the hackathon will get a code shirt.
Perfect. Great. Anything else that we want to showcase with code? The blockchain. If you're interested in blockchain and you want to use the code VMware Code Coin, that app is up and live. VMWCC.com.
CC.com.
Yeah, VMWCC.com. You can go learn what tasks we're going to have at Europe to run around and get things. What's the big prize? What are the big prize? What's the number 1 prize? We're for 500 coins at
the number 1 prize. It went like hot potatoes at Vegas was Nintendo consoles.
Ooh,
so we only have
nice.
2 of those this time
2
for Europe.
Nintendo
So first come, first serve.
Yep, 2 Nintendo consoles and some VMware Code jackets. Which, if you're on if you're on Facebook live stream, I am wearing my VMware Code jacket. So we will have some of those. Hackathon team winners will get some, and then we'll have some of those in the Code Coin store, which is our blockchain coin for VMware Code, where you can earn coins to go get some cool stuff as part of the code program. So.
Can I ask, do you guys remember what the winning project at Vegas was? Because I know that I saw it and I went, oh, that's really cool, but I completely blanked on what it is.
I don't remember the winner. I remember one of the second or third. Kripa, you remember? Yeah.
Yeah, V-Mafia, their team won first. There's a blog on blogs.vmware.com/code that talks about their project in particular, so if you want to go and check that out. but they definitely were one of the teams that took advantage of working the month before the hackathon. So,
which I personally like a hackathon that goes longer than 3 hours for sure. And the other thing that we got feedback, or at least some feedback from, is that we'll try to make the presentations a little bit longer so the presentations can go deeper this at Europe. Okay.
Yeah. We're going to give everyone, I think we cut everyone off at 2 minutes, so we're going to give them between 8 to 10 minutes this time.
Right. Fewer teams, longer presentations, and 2 different styles of awards. So should be cool. Buses, nice. Anything else for code, Kripa, or we'll let you go and we'll move on to Corey Romero with the vExpert party.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Kripa. As always, we'll see you in Europe. Right.
I just looked it up to answer my
Thanks
own
for having
question.
me.
Yeah, thanks, Kripa. The vMafia team, I think they hacked a PowerShell, PowerCLI console right into the HTML5 client.
Ooh, that's really cool.
Yeah,
that's
remember
nice.
Was,
Yeah. PowerShell from an HTML client.
Yeah.
So you install that on your vSphere server, right?
Yeah.
And then you can just sit and run PowerShell.
PowerCLI, right.
Yeah, PowerCLI from your
directly
browser.
in the HTML5 client.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of slick, right? That, or you can just SSH in and run it. But okay, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Looking forward to the hackathon. As always, good food, good people, and some fun along the way. So Corey, are you still hanging with us?
Hey, Eric. Yeah, I am.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
What's up?
What's up?
Good.
That's good. Corey Romero always comes in and I say, "How you doing?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm doing awesome." And I'm like, "I'm going to tell you, dude, I want some real Corey Romero here." So we got a vExpert party scheduled for Europe, right? We got this together.
We do. Yeah.
Nice.
We do.
Nice.
So it's scheduled for Tuesday, November 6th is the day of the party.
All right, so hackathon on Monday. We didn't really talk about that. vExpert party on Tuesday, as always. We got a restaurant, right? We're going to have food and alcohol, I believe.
We do. Yep, got a restaurant, and we're going to have. So it'll go between 7 and 10 o'clock, and we've got food and drinks served for 3 hours as well.
Right, and I know that you opened up Reg, and we regged for like 170 people. That filled up, and then and we have 100 slots, but we know that a lot of people don't show up, so we'll probably be fine with that, or maybe we have 110 slots or something. So we're always a little bit oversubscribed, but that's to give it. We have standard dropout rates. Last year I had to buy some extra passes to let extra capacity in at the venue, but the venue has a limited fire capacity as well. We talked a little bit about what do we do with overflow. Are we going to allow people to show up that aren't on the list?
Yeah, so I've asked people who were on the waiting list to show up at 7:30 versus 7 o'clock, and I think that'll allow us to allow the first crowd to come in and everybody get settled to kind of see how many people are in, and then how many people we can on that wait list that we can get in the room also.
Right. Okay. Perfect. That sounds fair. So we do have a wait list. We've already subscribed everybody to like 170 people. Then we're going wait list above that. The capacity of the room is 110 or something. So the people, if you want to get in and you're on the list, come at 7, and then sometime around 7:30, 7:45, whatever. We'll just queue up a list, and as long as they let us let people in, we'll let people in. Right.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, cool.
Is the venue still secret right now?
So it's at Cafe Ocana, or Ocana.
Ocana. Okay.
We were there 4 years ago, and since then they've redesigned the whole place.
Right.
It's a really nice place. It's actually kind of down the stairs, kind of underground, and it was like if anyone remembers, it was kind of like an underground cave we were in, and it was nice 4 years ago. But they've redesigned the whole thing.
If I remember right, it was like some kind of underground big brewery. On the right-hand side, they had like brewery tanks or something, leftover brewery. So it had a super high ceiling, and we had maybe 100, 115, 120 people in there. Super high ceiling with food and hors d'oeuvres, and it was an old brewery, but they've redesigned it now. Right? Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that place. I have memory of that place. Big stairwell that came down into a super high, big, cavernous kind of empty place.
Exciting.
Interesting. I don't know if it was exciting. I kind of felt it was boring, but that's just. I'm glad they've It was a big, giant, empty hall, right? Okay, got it. It was underground, and it kind of had a brewery kind of feel to it, but it was just a big, giant hall. So hopefully it'll be slightly cooler.
And I think at the time we didn't even get close to capacity. We were like at I think 65, 70
now,
people had showed up.
And the reason is
years
that
ago.
we're not also giving buses for the vExpert party here in Barcelona. We do have buses for the hackathon, but not for the vExpert party. So you're out on it's a party. You got to go find it, right? So we're driving in, and I think it's in the city somewhere. So that will mean that you have to spend time getting a cab, waiting in the cab line, and getting to the vExpert party. But then you're in party land. So you go to this party, you go to other parties.
Yeah. So I think if you're going to attend with other vExperts, get a group together, start.
That's usually what we see. Yeah, people rolling in groups.
Right. And then, all right. Well, Corey, great. I know you're not going to be there because you're like, I'm not flying all the way to Europe. The heck with this. You're going to stay home and visit remote on a beam and drive around, whatever. Corey Romero said, I'm not doing another VMworld Europe. You guys can go do it yourself.
Absolutely not what I said.
That's what he said. I heard him. He's like, I hate those vExpert people. Right.
That is funny, though, so we'll just go with that. Sure.
Yeah, sure. That's right.
Barcelona, I refuse.
Yeah. But I will be there, and the rest of the community group will be there. And Corey, we appreciate all the hard work you do, as well as getting it all set up and making it happen. And you don't get to go get free food, but you don't also have to spend, 10 hours on a flight. So I get that as well. So cool.
You're in marketing. You're selling that as an advantage.
Now, Corey will be at AWS reInvent, so we are splitting the team up so that we have enough budget to go to both. Which is why we asked some vExperts and community people to man the Europe booth, which we got a couple people working. And I'll transition, Corey, thanks a lot. I'll transition to Jenny, who's been here patiently waiting. I said, hey, come on in to the studio, Jenny. We'll get you on first for sure, right? And here we are. We're doing you last.
It's fine.
It's great. So we do have the community booth there. You run the community. We got V Brown Bag.
Yes.
So before we get that, introduce yourself. How long have you been at VMware, and what do you do?
Okay, so I'm Jennifer Gonzales, go by Jenny, VMTN Community Manager. I've been here for about 5 months now. So yeah.
Yeah,
Reach
here
out
you
to me
are.
if you have any VMTN issues.
This will be your second VMworld.
Yep.
You will be in Barcelona.
Yes.
We're going to have the booth, right? Mm-hmm. So tell me about V Brown Bag.
Yeah, so V Brown Bag, they set up Tech Talk live sessions at VMworld. So they're about 10-minute or 25-minute sessions that are done by community members. And we have about 46 of those at VMworld Europe.
Nice.
Most of them are already full. I think there's about 5 that aren't. The capacity is about 25 people, but again, with the code sessions, same with the V Brown Bag sessions, people will probably not show up to every single one, or we will have at least standing room for people to show up. So
Right. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So full up in Schedule Builder.
yes, in Schedule Builder.
VMTN is the one.
VMTN is the code.
Right.
For
So
those.
you can go to Schedule Builder and find out when it's going to be
Yep.
if you're interested in a subject, and then drop in.
Yep.
Are we going to have screens that show what the day's agenda is going to look
So
like?
there will be a screen up in front of the theater that's in our VMTN VMware code booth, and the schedule will be up per day, so
Right.
you'll be able to see what's coming up.
And there's always V Brown Bag live streams, right?
Yes. So live streams, I will have those up on the VMTN homepage, but if you don't go there, they have them on the V Brown Bag website as well, and the link is vbrownbag.com/brownbags/vbrownbags-live. So a little bit long. I can put that in the Facebook page if people are on that.
All right, perfect. So how many sessions did you see?
There are 46.
46 sessions,
Yep.
10 or 25-minute sessions.
Yes.
Is Alistair going to be there?
Alistair will be there, yes. And,
Nice.
Yep.
All right, good. I know he's coming to AWS reInvent as well, so we have that. Blogger tables, 3 blogger tables, not
Yep.
2 like your US. So we got
Yes.
that message loud and clear.
Hopefully a little taller.
Taller. And then we're right at the same spot we were last year. You weren't there last
No.
year, but I was, and we're going to be right past entryway into Reg. It was a cool space to hang out. We had a good location. As opposed to Europe, some years we're back in a corner somewhere with the food people or something. But nope, we're going to have a good place. So that should be fun. In the booth, Alistair's there, V Brownbag's there. What else do we need to know about community?
I just want to say at Vegas, again, I think every single day I was there, I watched a brown bag session from outside the area. Like,
Yep.
not once did I actually go in and sit down in the official seating, but every single day I watched a session. So 4 sessions.
Okay. That's
so
awesome.
yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And are we going to have the translation headphones? So if I don't speak English, I can put those on and then just listen to the session in whatever language I want?
I do not think so.
No?
Is that a real thing?
No.
That would be
Okay.
awesome, though. There is, I know at least one that is in Italian. I'm not sure what other
Right.
language.
I got to say that I give everybody credit for coming and doing sessions. Back 7 years ago when we first started this, it was John Troyer sitting in a booth with like 4 people for like 30 minutes, and that was all there was, right? So we really made a difference, and the Europe presence has been really solid in the last year. Now, second year, getting in Schedule Builder, getting everybody there. And the reason I joke about the language is 7 years ago when we started, and we only had like 10 people show up, right? All VMworld, right? Me and John talked, and we're like, maybe it's a language thing. Maybe we just can't get community because we got Italians and French and Germans. They're all in their own language, and maybe they just don't come together, and it's just too hard. And we had an Italian group, come and do one presentation in Italian, and then we had like a couple here or there. They were all in different languages, and so from a community perspective, nobody would come hang out because it was all just too many languages, right? So at the time, we were like, we're not sure this is ever going to work. We keep trying, but it has worked, and it is in English, and those are great sessions, and everybody gets along. So it's good. Interesting time. And thanks to Tony, who put a link to the VMTN content calendar in the chat. And if you go to vmw.re/pod or the TalkShoe thing, all the chat and all the links now are saved per every podcast. So if you're listening to this iTunes and you want to go get all the links that we talk about, you can go to vmw.re/pod, click on the podcast. This is 455, and you'll see all the chat with all the links that people are putting in the chat. So always easy to go do that. I'm trying to think what else we have to talk about here with regards to communities that are happening. We can talk a little bit about AWS reInvent. We have, as long as we're talking about V Brownbag. V Brownbag is going to come to AWS reInvent in Vegas, and he's done a call for some papers. So we have given Alistair and V Brownbag some session slots to do sessions at AWS reInvent.
Yes.
And I know that he's got some of those available. So.
Yeah, so some of them are still open. I will be tweeting some of the pages out that he created for you to register if you have an idea. You can reach out to any of us as well with any ideas that you might have.
Right. And I think it's a 40-seat theater that's going to be at AWS reInvent in the area. So Aria.
Yeah.
I never get that right. Aria Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be in their schedule builder. We're
Yes.
getting those in, and so if you want to come and be a part of V Brownbag at AWS reInvent, you should absolutely do that. And if you're going to be at reInvent, or if you have a community brand or community blog and you want to get exposure, we do have a community booth. We can get you some exposure. We're going to have a sticker table, and you can come visit us at AWS reInvent. Alistair's going to be there. He's coming in person, flying him in for it. So it's, again, our chance to start showing up and showing our community brand, VMTN and V Brownbag, and all the other community brands, all the stickers at AWS reInvent this year. So our coming out party. So neat to be there.
We forgot to ask Mike. I was wondering if they're going to try to do something like Cloud City at reInvent.
They do have a VMware booth at AWS reInvent. So there's going to be 4 booths that are going to be around the venue, and it's an 80,000 person conference. So I think it's some big number like that. But we're in the area.
Yeah.
There is a show area that vendors traditionally do an expo. VMware will have a booth there, which looks a lot like the cloud booth because it's all cloud solution, cloud architecture, Genius Bar, that stuff. So they'll have that. There will be a Wavefront booth at a different place, right? So Bill Roth and crew will be manning our booth plus the Wavefront booth, and then there is a Cloud Health booth, right?
Okay.
And then there's obviously the VMware Code community booth, right? So Code, Wavefront, VMware proper, right, which looks a lot like Cloud City, and then Cloud Health, which we've acquired. Not sure there's going to be that much branding around that yet, but I haven't seen that. I think it's their booth that they're going to be running. So 4 places to do. We're going to do some kind of booth coordination at AWS reInvent. We have, I think, 40 sessions that are going to be kind of like the power sessions. vBrownBag has some of those, like a handful, like 6 or 7 allocated to them. But then we also have, Kubernetes, KVM, and then all the maker space, 10 different cool sensors, all that we've talked about on the podcast earlier. So that'll all be happening. So excited to see Alistair Cook with vBrownBag and the whole vBrownBag community set of people that are doing presentations with them at Europe, as well as looping back into AWS reInvent in Vegas.
Definitely.
So should be good. Question for John: you gonna try to make it to AWS reInvent?
I am going to try to make it. Nice. I think my chances right now are below 20%, but my chances of getting the Google Pixel Buds, which do real-time translation, by the way, are a little bit higher. Actually, it might be about the same, less than 20%. But yeah, at least they demonstrated it on stage. I don't know if it actually does it in the world.
And Tony Foster gave us the link for the vBrownBag call for papers for reInvent. So it's in the chat. It's https://vBrownBag.com/2018/10/tech talks@-reinvent. So there you go. That's the link. If you would like to do a talk at Amazon AWS reInvent, go look at that. There are some sessions available, and he'll be processing the apps, and we'll be getting them in Schedule Builder at the same time.
Yeah, we still have a few available and hoping to get the Schedule Builder up by the end of the week, but we need to fill those out. So
yeah. Okay, that sounds good. We're at the top of the hour. We've got 2 more minutes for the vBarbecue report, and I got a question for the vBarbecue, which is charcoal or gas?
Wood,
yeah,
right?
I mean, what kind of question is that, right?
Isn't it wood?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Wood, right? Like that must be somebody from whatever, out there and from whatever.
Gas is for inside. That's for your stove.
Yeah, that's right. That's called not barbecue. Like that's called
like
baking.
Walking versus driving.
Right.
Which one do you want to do?
Which do you want to do? Right. Yeah. I like wood the best personally.
I mean, I really like gas. It's a really effective way to light your charcoal and wood.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't. It's not. I actually like lighter fluid. Right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Like so.
It burns off in time.
We'll just end with this story. My one of my sons. I have 4 kids. One of them is Eagle Scout, and so as a dad, you get called into these kind of Boy Scout activities, which I'm not a big camper, right? Like I'm a big Xbox player, but so we go to these campsites and all the kids are learning how to start their fire, little sticks and rocks and whatever they do, right? Like
both.
Yeah, both, right? Whatever. And then there's Eric who walks to his trunk, opens his trunk, gets out 3 big jugs of lighter fluid, walks up to his campfire and just dumps, squirt, flicks it all out, woof, right? Everybody else is nursing their tiny little, and all the dads are looking at me, like, you're not with the program here, buddy, right? They stopped inviting me to all Eagle Scout outings, right?
That's how you got disinvited.
Yeah. So I'm a big wood fan on my barbecue, and then if I have to, charcoal, and I don't use gas ever, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there you go. That's it for barbecue. Nobody else barbecued. So we're at the end of the hour. It's 1:00. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week. One show left before we go hit VMworld Europe. If you're going, happy to see you. If you're not, enjoy not flying and stay healthy, my friends.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. With that, we're going to end it, and we'll see you again next week. Have a great week.
Adios.
Recording paused.
Hey.